Mabuhay Kamusika. Welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Thank you for tuning in now, or if you are to watch this live stream later. This is the first time I've done a live stream just on Christian Filipina. Christian Filipina is where I met my wife in the Philippines back in 2015. And I had been alone for a very long time. And I'm going to look at my phone here for the questions. And, I was alone for 30 years, looking patiently, waiting, to try to find a wife. And I wasn't getting anywhere. I thought it was tough at that time. I think it's even tougher now. I see so many people in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, lamenting the fact that it's so difficult to find a wife. Well, it wasn't easy for me back in 2015. J Bud 5000, welcome tonight. It has snowed. It's right now 32 degrees. So when my wife comes home from work in about 4 hours, that previous ice rain that we had is going to be really slick. We could get anywhere from 4 to 7 inches. I'm not sure it's going to be that bad because I just looked out the window and it was kind of hard to see any snow coming down at all, but it did for a little bit. But there's like what they call it, a winter storm watch or winter storm warning. So that's just something to deal with over here. But so far, so good. I only went outside today to get some gas at the last minute because I was a little bit low. And then when you can start hearing that freezing drizzle come down and splatter all over everywhere, I thought, well, I better get out there and throw some clothes on and get some gas. And my mother who lives with us needed a few things. So I thought, well, we better get it now. Who knows what's going to happen? So, but I can tell you what happened in 2015 after a long search for a wife. I found one. I found her on Christian Filipina. And this was March 13th. I joined paid membership. Membership is similar, but it's different. And maybe we'll get into that as I go through the features of it here, which I've never done before. Just bear with me. I will try to briefly explain the features. But if you look over the right side, I've got some links there in the top chat section. One there is my affiliate link to Christian Filipina. Another one, Filipino Visa. Different service than I used back then, but I did use the Christian Filipino services that they had back in 2015. Go to website, has some extra resources on there for people interested in a Filipino wife, lvbts.com, and then a book. It's 540 pages long, and it's available there through that source on the website or through that link. And March 13th, I signed up. I said, okay, we'll give this a try. I've never done it before, never even thought about it before. Never. I liked Filipinas, never thought about going over there. Didn't even know where it was, to be honest with you. I was trying to find somebody locally, and I just assumed that would not be a problem. Well, it became a problem. After a while, I was willing to do anything. So I did. March 13th, signed up. March 17th, I met a woman who wanted me to focus on her, and she would hide her profile from anyone else. And already in 4 days, I was having trouble finding out who to choose from. Somewhere I didn't save it on purpose, but I've got a yellow notebook of the names and some notes on the women I was contacting. And we moved a couple times since then, and I still have it. So it kind of brings back those memories. I had a list of 4 or 5. She wanted me to tell them I was just going to focus on her. And I thought about it for a day. I thought, well, I got so many on my list. It's kind of taking up a lot of time going through all these lists and changing them and doing chats and turning chats down and taking notes. So I said, okay, I'll do that. That was on March 17th. And April 10th, April, make that April 4th, I proposed to her. That was on day 18. She said, yeah, if I go and see her. So I did on April 25th to get married. That's why I went there, to get married. And we did on May 10th. Can't just go down there, get off the plane, get married. You have to wait 10 days. And I did. And we were spending that time finalizing all the wedding preparations and trying to find me a barong that was big enough. I'm 6'2", I think, maybe maybe I lost half an inch, and 200 and 210 pounds. So Filipinos don't usually run that big. Brandon, 1989. Thank you, Brandon, for joining me here tonight. Just a quick run through of Christian Filipina. I'm going to look at the website that's where all the magic happened for me. And I know it's well thought of by others. I'm not saying it's the only site that a man can find a wife. I'm saying it was the one that I found one very quickly. And I've been married 7 years and 8 months. For marrying somebody so quickly, it's always a learning experience. You watch my videos. I've got 1,300 videos, I think. Many of them are about the getting into the weeds of a relationship with a Filipina. The longer I'm married to one, the more I learn about things that I wish I had known earlier. Not necessarily, difference makers, but things that would have helped for an easier transition. So I try to share that here on Love Beyond the Sea. And I went through the website, paid for the visa help, and she was here in 8 months. Got married in May. She was here in January. I don't know how long it would take now with all the immigration. Gogo Bobo's sister is here. You love Tampo, and then you like peace and quiet, I guess, with a little tension mixed in there. Good to see you here today. I'm going to pull up this website here. I wish you could see me. I really do. But if you click on my affiliate link, which I would appreciate you doing, you can go to Christian Filipina. And I'm not sure what you would see first. It's changed a little bit. A few weeks ago, they still had all my information on there. And I noticed they just took that down. So I used to be able to click on here and see the women I had talked to, the women that had winked at me and that I had chatted with and all of that. I'm going to go to online. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things listed here. Well, first of all, you'll notice if you go to that Christian Filipina website, it has your time, and then it really helpfully shows the time in the Philippines. It's here where I am at 7:10 p.m. And in the Philippines, it's 9:10 in the morning. So, for example, if I was to talk to my wife or any woman in the Philippines and done with work, I'm done eating, going to the gym or whatever, running an errand, showering, I can get on the computer, and before I go to bed, it's 9:10. Now, if she has to go to work or school, maybe we have to talk a little bit earlier, but it works out really good. Same thing in reverse. When I get up in the morning, let's say it was 5 o'clock, then it's either 6 or 7 in the evening over there, depending on time zone. So that was good. We could talk for 2.5 hours, maybe hour and a half before work, and then hour and a half or 2.5 before bed. So that was about 4 hours a day, even more on the weekend. So by just focusing on my wife, my fiance at the time, it all happened so quick. We were able to learn a lot about each other. But you'll see the time. That's very helpful because there's no point trying to contact someone you're trying to get in touch with, and there's no chance that they're going to be there. And so it's Philippines time. You got your user ID. And online now, I can tell you this is accurate. And also, you see there, it tells you where they're from. Quezon City. These days, I'm familiar with that. Cavite, I think it's Cavite. Cavite. My wife always makes fun of me for my pronunciations. And there's one I don't know, Davao City del Sur. There's even one from Singapore. And this one here is 32. Now, you can start a chat with her, video chat, if she's there, write a message. You can send her a wink, which I certainly did. I sent my now wife a wink. I was at work and on first break, I think, and her profile just popped up. I was about to go up back to work, and her profile showed up. And I didn't even get her name right. I thought it was Asia, but it was Isa, A-I-Z-A. And I thought, boy, what a beautiful name. And all I saw was a picture. And I have kind of a rule. I'm not going to, contact anyone unless I see the profile first. But, and she had shorter hair, which she doesn't now and didn't when I married her. The picture was a couple of years old. So I winked at her, and that was about it. And then she winked back before I could get back up. And I tried to see either then or no, it must have been then, can I talk to you later at my lunch? But, that would have been like 2 in the morning or later. She wasn't feeling good, but she said, she would try. And I said, oh, no, that's okay. I'll contact you soon. And May 17th was the first day we met. And I think that was at work. And we chatted just shortly after that, when I was home on the computer. I still got screenshots of all this. And I should remind you of that because you want to keep pertinent information for your visa petition. So I could show when I first talked to her. And I could show her, she actually somehow was able to have all of our screenshots. It was Viber or wherever it was at the time. I think it was Viber. It could have been Skype too. And I picked out, she had pages of it. And you don't need that many for a spousal visa. 9 or 10 pages of good, pertinent communication and dates, proving that you have a relationship is all you need. So I picked out some things like when I proposed to her and when I first met her, and that we were planning on, I was planning on seeing her, and what I needed to do because I didn't know. And that kind of showed that, yeah, it was soon, but I contacted her, I proposed to her. They could see a little bit of the conversation, and then, okay, well, the next step is go see you. And they saw all that. And our petition went well. She was asked 2 questions at the Manila visa, they call it the consulate embassy, and they just said, do you plan on working in America? And what does your husband do? That's all they asked her. Probably took just a few minutes. So she was worried about nothing. So I assume from that we had a good petition package put together for getting married in less than 8 weeks. But if you look at this is what I saw. This has got their user ID. Profile, I'm sure. I'm not going to click on them now because I wonder what I'm doing. Well, I don't even know what happened. I guess technically now I'm a free member. But it shows you the ages that they're interested. This is important because this is not something you see every day on dating sites. And I did 4 of them, a couple of them twice, got nowhere. So here, this one, Emily, age 32. I won't go inside, I guess, and I probably don't have the right to share much on her, but she prefers 26 to 49. Now, I tell that to you because you might be thinking all these women, they'll say 20 to 80, and you'll still see that. I think I would be concerned about that. But this one, she's 32, so she'll go 6 years under, and she'll go 17 years above. Sounds pretty normal, doesn't it? For the Philippines, maybe not where you're from. I'm here in the United States. This lady here is 40, looks a lot younger than that. You'll see that a lot. And she prefers 40 to 60. Not outrageous. Here's a girl that's 30 and very good looking, and she prefers a man who is 25 to 50. Very reasonable. This one, 48, she wants a man 40 to 60. Let's see if I can find a younger one here. This one is, she's got a child, I assume, because there's a child in the picture. You have to click on the profile, see what they say, and certainly chat and find out more. But she's 31 and she wants 25 to 70. And that to me becomes a little more problematic. if a woman is willing to marry somebody that, in this case, would be 39 years older than her. 37-year-old woman here, she prefers 40 to 50, all very good. And here's a 27-year-old. She prefers 25 to 65. So you'll see a lot of ranges. Now I'm going to try to see, there's like 9 pages of, I counted 16, I think, 15 on each page. And that's just, it's on there right now at 9:17 in the Philippines. This 25-year-old looking for a guy 25 to 45. This 28-year-old is looking for someone 28 to 35. So, I've had people tell me, Bob, that sounds great, but when I've been on Christian Filipina or other dating sites, all they want is older guys. If I'm 30 or 25, all they want is, 50 to 70. Well, that's just not true. At least not what I'm seeing now. You still may see that. Here's a 24-year-old, and her preference for age is 23 to 30. So young guys, I think I've been one of the few guys beating the drum for younger men looking for a wife in the Philippines. They most certainly can. This Mary wants a younger guy. This Myra is okay with a guy from 25 to 65. And you get the point there. There's going to be more and more women on site. And also, it's got a bell here. So what I remember was it would have a number, at least it did back then, I think, of all the number of women that have notified you one way or another. And then there's that envelope there, which if somebody sends you a message, that's where that is. I wish I could still see those. So when you do your search, you're going to see who you want to see. They've got a dashboard, which is on the far left. Mine is blank now because they just emptied it all out. But you can say I am a male seeking from, you can start at 18. I think it goes up to about, 80. I think it's basically 18 to 80. On the left side there, they've got a list, my favorites. When you find somebody you like, and you'll probably find a lot, to help you find them again, you can save them under your favorites. It'll list for you the profiles that you have viewed. And by the way, when you look at somebody's profile, they will be able to see that you looked at their profile. And often that's when you'll get a wink or a chat request. Then there's my block list. I'm not sure I ever had to block anybody, to be honest with you. And I know I found my wife quickly, but I spent a lot of time on it, pretty much made it my job outside of my job. I think I even took a vacation because I was just bombarded with so much interest, not because I'm such a great person, but because, a lot of women in the Philippines are looking for husbands. And who viewed my profile, you can click on that and see that once you're in. And I paid right away. So honestly, I don't know what your experience would be just as a free member. I mean, the goal, I think, is to be a paid member so you can actually communicate with people. And then there's another list there, winks I've received. What's new? They've got new messages, new winks, new profile views. If you look under my lists, it'll show my buddy list, which is kind of like favorites. I don't know if it's exactly the same, but they're calling it something else here. Band profiles, chat requests sent. You need to keep track of that. Mutual matches. Now that's interesting. I can't do that now because I'm not in the system now, but I guess if you've run some searches, mutual match will help you find someone that seems like a match there. And the first thing that makes me think is finding a wife in the Philippines is not like, let me check. I'm afraid to move off of this. Finding a wife I just got a message somewhere else. Finding a wife in the Philippines is not like getting a car. And well, they don't have one on the outside or on the floor, so I'll just order something. And because even if, let's see, yeah, and we'll get back to that later, even if you find everything you want, style and color, and it's brand new and got all the latest features and interior, all the bells and whistles, really doesn't matter until you start driving that car. I don't, yeah, we all have things that we look for initially. In some sense, when you find somebody that will marry you, you almost have to start over again because that's when the rubber meets the road, no pun intended, with the car theme, because then you'll find out what each other is like under stress that you didn't have when you were online, talking to them from the comfort of your home and drinking coffee and asking questions. Isn't that fun? By the way, on that one link off to the side, lvbts.com, if you go up to the resource tab, I've got a list of 4 separate stages of questions in order from breaking the ice, very important for you to feel comfortable talking to somebody, pretty woman, thousands of miles away. And then as it gets a little more serious, I'm not sure what I called it, maybe to gauge compatibility for the other big set of questions, very in-depth questions. And then the third one is to help you decide if you're ready to marry this person, if this is somebody you should marry. And so you don't take the second or third list and start because the questions are too personal. And if you get too personal, come on too strong, you're going to turn her off, scare her away, and you don't want that. And then there's another set of questions about after you're married, because you're going to continue to learn about her after you are married. I certainly have. I certainly have. I didn't know she was so much of a night person. I thought everybody in the world liked to get up at 4 or 5 o'clock and start work at 7. I've done that since I was 17 years old. I thought that was just normal. And I don't know if that's just normal for me or I got trained that way. But with my wife not liking the morning and working second shift, I had to bite the bullet and deal with going to bed instead of 9 o'clock like I'd like to, nice and tired. I have to go to bed at 3 o'clock or later. And sometimes after I've taken a long nap, I'm not ready to fall asleep at all. And she is. So it's all screwed up. Um, but I don't see that changing, honestly. She wants to work second shift. She's in school. And that works out, for working second shift. She'll hopefully graduate, Lord willing, in sometime in December with a degree in biotechnology. And so, boy, she's really grinding through everything right now. I think it's more work than she thought it was going to be. But the woman I married wanted to go work in America. Those are things you talk about on Christian Filipina. And school, well, she wanted to continue education. She likes to learn things, and I guess now we know she was serious. She likes to learn things, and she's bright. But yeah, I've been in school for 10 years. Boy, that's biting an awful lot when you're working full time. But she's doing very well at work, and so I asked her a lot of questions, and I found those lists and I put them up there on lvbts.com. Please look at that, the resource tab up on top of that website. That will help you really understand them faster. And again, don't give money if you haven't met them, you're not engaged or married. There's no reason to. You're just going to get taken advantage of. And don't give in to backdoor requests for money. And that would be when she tells you about things that need money, people that need money for certain things, because she's probably asking you for money without asking you for money. And you don't want to do that. I will always say, you can do what you want, but I wouldn't do that. My wife thinks it's crazy. You haven't met her yet. You're not serious yet. She thinks you're nuts if you're going to give any Filipina money because you're begging to be taken advantage of. And then you're going to blame her, and she doesn't like Westerners. So blame Filipinas for scamming them when it's all their fault. So that's her view on that. And so don't do that. Use your time, ask good questions, see if she's really somebody who wants to get married. If she's asking for money, move on. Now, they do have resources, testimonials. I'm going to click on that. I'm actually in there. Now, as I scroll down, I don't know that you need to, but you could probably scroll all the way down to 2010. So I guess they've been around since 2010. And then the recent testimonial is December 29th, 2022. And you can see sometimes it's the women, sometimes it's the men. I'm in there too. That was a long time ago. This guy, James, 35, Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, says, met a girl, and we'll see where things go from here. Thank you. And keep doing what you are doing. 35-year-old man. I helped a guy that was in his 30s marry somebody. I worked with him before he had to retire early. And he found a wife through Christian Filipina. She's been here for probably 3-4 years already. This guy, 53, New Mexico. Hi, Christian Filipina. I've been in a happy relationship with a lovely Christian woman. I'm happy to tell you that I just got married to her. 53. I was 53 back in 2015, but don't try to add up the numbers there. Thank you very much, and God's blessing be upon all of you. There's another Filipina, 47-year-old from Western Australia. I found someone, and another woman. These women look a lot younger than they are. Brian, 52, Mississippi. I have met the love of my life here. This is another man, Columbus, Ohio, and then I'll move on from this. But lots of testimonies. I mean, there could be a lot more. This is just the people that actually did it, that felt like they wanted to show their appreciation of writing a testimonial. It says, thank you for your care and the services you offer us to find a suitable wife in the visa process help. I'm talking to one lady now in the Philippines. I will contact your services for possible visa servicing or processing assistance. Again, thank you for the care and the services. A man from Columbus, Ohio. They go from all over the place. Corey, 36, from Tennessee. I've met her and my family. I plan on, she's met her family, I guess. Plan on marrying her next year in December. So he's getting 36-year-old. Love to see it. 37-year-old. Daniel found somebody there. And then there's a 74-year-old guy, 49, 62, 58. It runs the gamut. And there's more women signing up every day. And somewhere, when you click on there, it'll show you the new members. That's part of testimonials. Research and advice articles, I might have one on there. There's a second opinion that's part of your membership. I don't know which membership exactly, but if you have any doubts or you want some affirmation, you can go there and talk to one of the, I don't know if they're romance counselors or what they call them, but you can get a second opinion as part of your membership. And I think what that is they will call them indiscreetly. They're not going to call them and say, hey, Daniel contacted us and he wanted me to interrogate you or ask you questions. No, they'll call and be discreet. How's it going? And you met anybody? And I mean, if you think that maybe something isn't right on the level, then the second opinion, they will go do that for you. In fact, at the time, maybe still, for more money, they will actually get out and go visit her, send somebody out there that's in the area, I suppose, and see for herself and really size things up. Because let's face it, it's bad business to get scammed, to get deceived, to get taken advantage of. So if you're not totally sure, and I know guys I've talked to said, yeah, I did my second opinion. I never had to do that, but you could say, well, I like this person, but I'm not sure. We're having trouble communicating. Is there a reason why she said this, but then she said that? Was it a miscommunication, which often happens, or is she lying to me? Well, list your concerns. They can go on that second opinion and they can help you maybe avoid disaster. And let's see, there's an upgrade button that I went through the search online now. I think I might have started out with that. There's a lot of women there. And so this is really simply, it's a very basic website. There's really no frills about it, but I think it has the things that you need. It's going to come down to communicating with them. Now, while you can communicate, there's a camera there, so start chat. I assume that's a video chat, which is the way to do it. Some Filipinas are hesitant or shy to go on camera, but I think you need to go on camera as soon as possible. I had gone on camera with 4 or 5 women when I met my wife, and she said, well, she wanted someone that was going to focus on her, not play any games. And she meant it. I said, well, I just signed up, 5 days ago, spent this much money. She said, well, you can talk to other women if you want, but you won't be talking to me. So I decided after thinking about it, let's go steady. And I called the other ones up, or I messaged them and said, no, I'm going to focus on Isa. She wants me to focus on her. All of them understood. Now in America, you might have heard some obscenities if you had said, I'm going to focus on this one woman. So just to be fair to you, I'm going to let you know that I've enjoyed meeting with you, but I'm going to talk to this other woman. She wants me to talk to her, and they all understood. And my number 2 said, well, I would do the same thing. Good for her. I hope you get married. Hope it works out for you and Isa. But if you don't, you know where to find me. I mean, if that doesn't epitomize class and the type of Filipina you want to talk to, I don't know what does. That really meant a lot to me. So I'm going to click back over here. Now, if you guys have any questions, which I hope somebody does, and I thank you for the thumbs up. That was 7 years and 8 months ago. Is that right? Yeah, since we've been married. It's just, my wife's had 8 birthdays since we've been married. I can't believe it. But please, now that you got me, and it's snowing outside, you can't go out for a walk. It's winter. It's January. Would love to answer questions. My link there is for the affiliate link to Christian Filipina, and I would not do this if I had bad feelings about them or bad experiences. I know there are men that use other dating sites, and they have felt that was good for them, and it was successful, and they found good candidates there. So that's not just Christian Filipina. There are many, many single women in the Philippines looking for guys. So I will wait a little while. I certainly want to answer some questions. That's the benefit of doing these live streams. I think the second one had one meet other being so nice about it, you would not find that USA. No, I don't think so. Well, first of all, in the United States, it's hard to get anybody to take you seriously. I mean, I, like most men, contacted lots of women, just couldn't get anyone back that seemed that they were there for the purpose of finding a husband. Like Christian Mingle, Match, what else? Plenty of Fish, and eHarmony. I did all those. Some of those were pay sites. Christian Filipina is more expensive. I know they prefer that I don't mention the prices here, so I won't, even though I know what they are. I can say this, that you get what you pay for. Now, back then, I asked a lot of questions because now I have more experience under my belt. I knew nothing in 2015. Nothing. I didn't even know that you needed a spousal visa, and then you had to wait for it and go through different stages of it. I thought I could get married in the Philippines, go on a honeymoon, say our goodbyes, fly her back with me. And they say, oh, no, sir, you need to get the spousal visa. I'm thinking, what, are you kidding me? I've been alone for so long. You're telling me now I might need to get this, wait a year for a spousal visa? I said, I don't like this. I said, I don't like this at all. I'm ready to get married. I need somebody. But I said, I'll think about it because I haven't had any luck anywhere else. And then I did. I thought about it that night, prayed about it, and then said, what do I got to lose? So I signed up. And that day was a Saturday morning, I think, when I made it official. Started looking and realizing lots of chat requests right away. And guys still tell me that today. They're overwhelmed by the amount of contact, like drinking water out of a fire hydrant. So probably hasn't changed much. Jay Bud says a lot of guys have been long time alone or divorced and have been out of the dating scene, don't know what to say or ask suggestions. Well, for that, it would be, and I wonder if I won't click over here because I don't want to mess up this. But if you go to that link, it's up above there where these comments are showing. And first one, it's the Christian Filipina link, and then Filipino visa, and then lvbts.com. Click on that, lvbts.com, the third one down. Go to the resource section on top. And there you will have all kinds of questions. Now, your particular situation, you'll have different questions, of course, but these are questions you want to ask. You can ask more questions, but there's a lot of questions. Now, I mean, obviously, at the time I got married, I didn't have a channel and I wasn't thinking about having a channel. And so I don't know what I did for questions, to be honest with you. I was just amazed that the women I was doing video chats with were so comfortable and at ease talking to me. I guess I didn't expect that. But they were easy to talk to. And, this was the first 4 days or so. And then I met my wife, had our first conversation. And since we were going steady, so to speak, I think we probably started asking more of those questions. I think we went through those pages of questions, not all the questions, but those type of questions thoroughly, from, hey, good, like to get to know you better, to, oh, really? Well, maybe this person, somebody I could marry, And so I keep asking questions and then more questions as it gets more serious. And then I'm thinking, why not? Why not ask her to marry me, which I did on day 18. So Jay Bud, and I'll repeat, lvbts.com, list of questions over there, different categories, different stages. Just start with the first one. Those are icebreakers. And then as it gets a little bit more serious, are you compatible enough to continue this relationship? And then more serious, wow, what do I need to know if I'm going to ask this woman to marry me? Well, I'm sure I didn't know at the time, but now I've got those lists out there. And even after you get married, you're going to continue to learn about each other. But that's a good question. And I have anticipated that. That's why those lists of questions are on there, and only there individually, and I mean together, on lvbts.com. So I guess you could say, I mean, I wasn't previously married, but I had been out of the game for a long time. I wondered what did it feel like to have a girlfriend? I mean, it's something you see other people, and it's like, how'd that guy get a girlfriend? Well, I don't know, but he did somehow. And I think it's easier to connect when you're thousands of miles away. In my case, according to my flight itinerary, 9,800 miles away. So no need to worry about questions. I can guide you through those questions, and then you can, ask whatever you want and see where the conversation goes. That will also give you a chance to see how good her English is. And I know men who have had to say, well, I think I like this girl, this lady, but just don't think her English is good enough. And I personally think that's pretty important. My wife speaks good English. I mean, it's gotten better since she's been here, of course. But, there's still some times I'm not sure if she's mad at me when I read something or if she understood exactly what I meant. And so I've had other people tell me the same thing, they're having a little bit of trouble communicating. Just be patient, maybe find other ways to ask and she might not understand but not want to tell you that she doesn't understand. That just causes more communication problems, doesn't it? But if the English is good, that's a really great start. Brandon says, I think you said this already, but I couldn't remember what you said. What are the paid periods? Can I just pay for a month or I have to get 3 or 6 months? I think, since I just saw it, I believe now it's 3 months, 6 months. No, I think it's 3 months, 1 year, and 1.5. But you can always click there and start looking around and calling them. The number is on there. All that contact information is there. And back in 2015, I didn't have to wait very long to talk to anybody. And one day I called in the middle of the night and it got passed along a couple times, but I did talk to a very nice gentleman who helped me write my profile, actually, or at least he helped me improve it. Um, so that was really cool that I could reach somebody anytime. So I believe the most popular one, I believe it's 3 months, if I can picture it right. And then they used to have a 6 month, but I think it's a year, but you'd have to check. And then the other one that used to be lifetime, which was technically about 25 years. Now it's like a year and a half. And so you might say, well, is this enough time? Yeah, it's enough time. I mean, I had in the first week probably enough names to knock it down to about 4 or 5 to talk to, and it turned down a couple hundred chat requests because I just didn't have time. I was trying to go through my lists, and you set up your age and you know like religion or age or have children or no children or relocate and all those things, and then you get all these chat requests, and I just had to politely decline. And there's a button for that, so you don't have to keep typing in no. So that's plenty of time. I think it's absolutely plenty of time. And I know they've had guys that have been on there for years, for one reason or another, didn't get in the game. And maybe that was all on them. I don't know, but it doesn't take a year and a half of communicating. I mean, if you really get after it, 3 months or a year is plenty, plenty. Take good notes, get those names, start communicating. Don't be super picky. Ask good questions, and that's plenty of time. So I don't want to go through that process over again, but I feel like I would have a good handle on it if I did. Dan Krewald, thank you, Dan, for joining me for this live stream tonight. Just kind of a review on Christian Filipina. You're talking about hard to talk to anyone if you don't have common experience together. Well, I'm glad you said that, Dan. So my wife is 27 years younger. I was from a place 9,800 flight miles from her. And what did we have in common? Well, I wanted a Christian. That's why I joined Christian Filipina. Not all the women, I should say, are Christians, and not all the women there are. Some of them are scammers. That's everywhere. It's an art form, and it's a job for some. And staffs are not unlimited with unlimited resources. They do their best, but they can't stop them all. I wish I kind of could help with that somehow, maybe get a paid job somehow. But um, common experience, you, I don't know that you need a lot. I mean, if she, like my wife wanted to come, she wanted to get married. So you just work that out together. So many of my videos are about how to, you know, be when you're married, what to think, what to do, looking at things from the Filipinos perspective so you can have a long, successful marriage, even if you don't have a lot in common. Now, you shouldn't be polar opposites. You'll know what you need to have in common. My wife wanted to work. Okay, that's what they do here. And maybe go to school. We'll see. They do that here too sometimes. And nothing out of the ordinary. She wanted to have a baby. Nothing out of the ordinary there. I mean, they're women, and she wants to work and help her family. And so the age difference, 27 years, well, we like the same music because I'm a lot older, but they play 80s music over there a lot. And so we're familiar with the same groups. And like the boy bands of the 80s, if they did listen, 80s and 90s, if they 2000s, if they did listen to those groups, well, I'm familiar with them too because I'm older. But she's familiar with the Bee Gees and people like that. And so we like the same type of music. Um, that's a good question, Dan. But you know, I never had any problems with this as far as common experiences. I think one thing you want to do once you are married is find things to do that you both would like. So she's going to have to try some things that she's never done before, like go to basketball games, football games with me, something like that. And I have to do things that she likes to do. Some kind of goes to plays or theatrical plays, and well, I never done that before, but I like it. I did it, and I thought, wow, this is pretty cool because these guys are very talented, and it's all live, and the stages and the timing and the choreography. It's got to be done well, and so that really was something I've enjoyed doing with her. Traveling, you don't have things in common. Well, go travel somewhere when you're married. Show her around your country a little bit. I'm sure she'd be glad to show you the Philippines. I didn't have any trouble with that. And one other thing before I read the comments, Dan, was I tried to mold myself, into her so that I would be malleable, adaptable, and learn. Well, what do you like to do, hon? Is there something we could share together? We like to watch these whodunit movies. One of my favorite things to do. And we try to figure out, who did it. And we can watch a lot of movies sometimes when she has time to watch shows together. So it hasn't really been a problem. It's still a woman. Women's needs are still the same. They need to be treated the same way. They want to be treated right. They need to have sex, of course, and they're just women. They just happen to live in another country. Culture is different. It hasn't been a big deal. You know, this culture is different from the Philippines too, and she's adapted here, and probably better than I could adapt over there. But that's a good comment. And J Bud adds, "Hey Dan, remember they have to take your words and translate it in their mind to understand you. So speak slowly." Good point. Because just like we think they do, they think we speak way too fast over here. And they don't understand our sarcasm and humor. So keep your words and sense is simple. That's a very good comment, J Bud. And that maybe is where some of the miscommunication comes in, because they don't want to say, "Can you repeat that again? Can you repeat that again? I still don't understand you," or they understand you, but they don't know quite what that word is because they don't use it a lot over there. And so that's true. Speak slow. Make sure they understand. Be patient. You're not talking to a Western woman, and she's not going to always understand what you're saying, especially if you're texting. That can be disastrous. I'm not the only person that has said, we got to stop texting because we keep arguing because for some reason there's something lost in the translation here. So the faster you can move to the video, the better. It's just easier to understand, see the body language. And I remember like yesterday, this is 2015, when I thought everything was fine. And I was leaving for work one day and I go to Viber and I see her say that she's not going to talk to me anymore. I thought everything was fine. So I thought, what is going on here? Why are you acting like this? And I was out in the parking lot pacing back and forth trying to talk to her. And then finally she says, well, it's because you said you were talking to other women. I didn't say that. Well, maybe I said it, but I didn't mean that. I had told her that I had been talking to other women, but in the context of the conversation, as I remember it, I was talking past tense. I had been. I wasn't presently. I had no intention to. I hadn't been, but I had been. Remember those first 5 days before I met her, I had been talking to other women. And then I called them and told them I found somebody that I was going to focus on. Somehow she just took it to mean I had changed my mind, and now I'm talking to other women, and she didn't like that, so we were done. So we got that straightened out, and then I went down there to marry her. So don't be alarmed if there are times when you just can't figure out what's going on. Probably she mistook a tense, of your word, or just didn't quite understand it. But Jay Bud is right. Slang, they don't understand our slang. I'm sure they have their own slang, but we have so many slang words that, and some words mean the opposite, just depending on the context. It can be really tough. Be patient with her when it comes to English. English is not an easy language. But good advice, J Bud 5000. Dan says, I am talking to someone I met from Christian Filipina. I am 59. She is 58. And congratulations on meeting someone, Dan. I don't know how long you have met her. Not all men are looking for younger women. That's the good thing about it. As I showed earlier when I was just running through some of the features I saw in Christian Filipina today, there are women in their mid 20s looking for men in their mid 20s. So if you're a young guy, there you go. There are women in their 30s looking for men in their 20s or 30s or 40s. So, and then there are women that only want an older guy and they're young, and there are women that only want an older, mature guy that are older. So there's plenty there to go around, I think, on Christian Filipina. Dan says, yes, she was slow to video chat. English is fine. I've seen other guys do that. One guy I know is just having terrible luck with that. I mean, we were talking about women he's been talking to for weeks, and like none of them would go on video chat, and a lot of them were asking for money. As it turned out, it was just a terrible, bad streak, because now the women go to video cam like the next day or the same day, and that's good. I mean, why wouldn't? I mean, it could be. I don't know. I mean, I suppose in the back of your mind, you're thinking if somebody's not going to talk to me on camera, maybe there's a reason for that. And it's not because she's shy, it's because she doesn't want me to see where she's at. Maybe there's a good reason for that. Maybe she's scamming you, or what she says isn't honest. I don't know. My wife was talking to me from her living room in that wonderful house that I met her in back in 2015. We were just there in March of last year, and we did not go back to that first house. I really wanted to see it because that's where I met her and her family, at that house. Next time I go, hopefully I can go again. I'd like to see it. And that was when I got there, I could see where she had been video chatting with me, and all the rooms looked a lot smaller, but they were the same rooms, and it was kind of cool thinking, wow, we're having all these conversations, and there's the living room, and there's her bedroom, and that was just so cool. Thank you, Dan. I just want to help people. Um, Love Beyond the Sea is also on TikTok, where it's doing very well, about 4,700 plus followers, they call them, and many, many, many more comments, and many more um, private messages. YouTube doesn't have a private message feature, as far as I know. TikTok does, and I'll have a couple more at least after this, get back to people and talk to them. So for me, it's very rewarding to help other guys do what I did. I don't like seeing people be single. A relationship is too good to pass up. Nobody's perfect. The Filipinos aren't perfect. We've certainly had our moments, and you have to be really devoted and dedicated to making it last. You can't be devoted to having it go perfectly. It won't, and there are surprises, and because who knows what's going to happen when you're together. I mean, jobs can change, and so then you're going to learn how you go through that, and um, her experiences are new, and you get to talk about that if she's in your country, and you can only learn so much video chatting. So I think you should, a guy, if he has vacation time, if he's working and it's not the end of the year where he has no vacation time left, try to go see her. I would suggest, if you're ready, 3 months is okay. 3 to 6 months, I would recommend getting out there and meeting her in person. I know a guy right now that's going to be going maybe next month. Another one might be going in a couple of months. Guys that have told me their wife is here already, or they just got married, or they're going to get married at the end of the year. So I know, especially since COVID restrictions are over for now, that men are going to the Philippines, flocking over there, finding a Filipina to marry. And I think the odds are better marrying a Filipina than somebody in the West. Just seems like more and more there's just what I see makes it harder to find a good woman over here. So thank you, Dan. Jay Brett says, refrain from chatting while in a bad mood. That's true. Even though you explain you're upset because of job, traffic was terrible, they will still think you're angry with them. And I like that point, Jay Bud, because Filipinas tend to be more able to just shrug that stuff off. Many, many times, my wife had to pull my shoulder or my arm or remind me, why are you so rude? Why were you so rude to that person? Well, I guess maybe I was, but I thought I had a reason to be. And I've had to learn to not be so rude with strangers. I've probably improved some, but not 100%. Just the other day, I went through a drive-through, and I thought the girl there was kind of rude, and I wanted to say something while I was waiting for my order. I just gave her a glare when I left, because she wasn't the one handing me the food. She was at the cash register. Not well, she was over behind him. So I picked up the food, and then I noticed she turned around to look. I glared at her and drove off. It seems like you get a lot of rude comments and behavior from anybody today. So, but yeah, if you come home and you're in a bad mood, even though you're in a great mood all day, she might mistake that for, this guy has a bad temper. This guy is always on edge. And that may not be the case. So that's great advice. Chill out, find some way to relax, understand that over in the Philippines, they don't like a lot of conflict. And so they are more laid back, easygoing. I think, which is a good thing. And their opinion on Westerners is we're grumpy, often unpleasant, get mad a lot. That's the way they see Westerners. So you want to impress them and not be like that. Dan says no more kids for me, just grandkids. Um, I'll just bring this up now. We'll have 4 people here, and more people will hopefully watch this video later. Filipinos want a baby. And if they don't have a baby yet, that's the number one thing in life. Don't be surprised if that is the number one thing in life. If you can give her that and you're looking for a baby, you move to the top of the list. Hey, I'm single. I'm looking to have a child. Just move on up there. They're going to like that. I guess I knew that when we got married so quickly, but you forget about some things when you get married that fast. And I didn't know she wanted a baby that seriously. Yeah, it's pretty serious. I've tried and tried and tried, different things, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to have a baby. So I would recommend to all you fellows out there, talk about the baby, talk about how serious it is, because if she's wants to have a baby, just multiply that by 1,000, and you'll know how bad she wants to have a baby. And if you're just not able to do that or unwilling, I think you got to let her know that right away, and then move on, find somebody else that would be more suited. I wish there's something I could do, but I can't, and she's got to accept that. But I hurt for her because I know how bad she wants to have a baby, and I just, well, we can't do that. But sometimes it can be very important to her. She may want that baby more than she wants you, because she wants a baby really, really bad. Jay Butt says they handle setbacks better than we do because they unfortunately deal with a lot of them. Good observation. And don't understand are getting uptight over what they would consider trivial matters. One day, Jay Bud, um, we were driving. I don't know what kind of vehicle it was. I guess it was a jeepney. It wasn't a van. Something like a jeepney. It could hold a bunch of us. We were all family, and we were traveling somewhere. And they were going uphill to get around to where we were going, and the car just kept overheating. And it would stop the vehicle, and they go in there and pour in more water in the radiator and keep going, and then it would stop, and they'd keep going and do it again. Nobody complained at all. And then later on, had a flat tire. So they had to stop and go look for a neighbor somewhere and get help to change the tire. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is just terrible. And people there, some of them were older. Nobody said anything. Nobody complained. They might just sit down somewhere and chat or laugh. It was nothing. Like no big deal. Unbelievable. The driver, nobody broke a sweat, so to speak, over that. It was no big deal. To me, that'd be a pretty big deal. I guess to them, well, this happens, they kind of probably anticipated it with all the conditions. And I think we did have to end up going a different route, or it was just going to keep happening. I do have a video about that, actually, now that I think about it. I think I called it Trouble in Paradise. Hard to remember when you have 1,300 videos, but I think that's what it's called, and it'll show you. You have to check that out somewhere on the YouTube website or YouTube site, Love Beyond the Sea, under Just Us playlist. But it's called Trouble in Paradise, and they handle it very well. So if you are a guy tends to have a bad temper, that's something you'll need to fix before you get involved with a Filipina. It's a good thing that they're that tough, they're that strong. And I think my wife has used that over here. I'm glad I married her. She's many times had to tell me to, you know, not be so rude and to not be so upset, not get so worked up about stuff. I need that. She's right. So I'm not going to complain about that. Any more questions here? I can certainly answer more questions, whatever you want to talk about. Went through the Christian Filipino website where I met my wife 7 years, 8 months ago, and been learning about, thinking very carefully about things I've learned being married to this woman since 2015. And hopefully we'll be married a long time. And I know that as the years have gone by, my topics have gotten, more and more serious as we get into the nuts and bolts of a marriage. Thank you for the thumbs up. And we'll continue to learn. And I can learn about things to help guys who haven't gone through that process yet. So I encourage you to watch the videos. Check out lvbts.com. Subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea. I'm on Rumble and TikTok and Facebook and Twitter and Odyssey and BitChute. Those are sites that some of these other ones, just in case I say something that the algorithm doesn't like, and I've probably done that. That's probably why I don't have more subscribers. I don't know. TikTok seems to be taking off, but that's a different platform and different algorithm. So I did it. I had no experience. Talk about no experience hunter. I had no experience, very little experience dating. Certainly hadn't been married before, but I tried to prepare myself as well as I could. And I was surprised that the Filipinos were so willing and eager to talk. I'm also surprised that so many of them don't have boyfriends. That's another topic for another day, I suppose. But they are available, whatever age you're at. If you're a younger guy, you can find somebody over there. And I certainly would recommend you doing that rather than waiting till you're 53 like I was to try to look for a wife. So consider the affiliate links there. Consider Christian Filipina, because you can find somebody there. And once the visa wait is over, you can have a wife, good wife. The travel restrictions are over. So people have been going over there. Some of them, the day after the restrictions were lifted, they were on their way over there. We went in March of last year, and we still had to get them tested, which we did. Got the results back. It was like $450 just for the two of us to get that PCR test, rapid PCR, so we knew we could get on that plane and get there. And we did, and we had to get tested on the way back. You do have to be tested now to go to the Philippines, but you don't need to be vaccinated. As far as I know, to come back from the Philippines, you don't need to stop in somewhere and get tested. But you do need to get tested that you're COVID-free before you get on the plane. Now, more strains are probably going to come up. I personally don't think COVID is a big deal right now. Unless, if you have 4 comorbidities, a lot of health problems, then you're more likely to contract COVID. I've had COVID. I got COVID just before we went to the Philippines in March. And so, yeah, I was fortunate when we left. I tested negative. My wife just got COVID here late last year. And we've both been vaccinated. In fact, we've been boosted, I think. No, we did get boosted. And then we still ended up getting COVID. So much for that. Dan says the Christian Filipino people are very helpful. But like YouTube also. Oops. Let me find out where I was. Pardon me for that. They are helpful. They were for me. And I asked a lot of questions because I knew nothing about the Philippines. I know a lot more now than I did then. I'm trying to find out where I was here. Okay, I guess that's the bottom. YouTube, there's a lot of people on YouTube that talk about the Philippines and life in the Philippines. And you can learn about life in the Philippines from a lot of channels. Obviously, I don't live in the Philippines. I mean, I just had a recent video on TikTok from several years ago when I was in the Philippines, and it was about having male friends over there, and is that important? It's got like 3,000 views in one day, so I mean, TikTok seems to be working really well for me, but I like YouTube as well because you got the playlists on YouTube. I got a lot of playlists, and maybe that thins down your search for certain videos. Certainly welcome you to look through the playlists on Love Beyond the Sea. The people were very helpful. Remember, they've heard these questions probably a million times, and so they can anticipate what you're going to ask them. And I'm sure if they hear something they never heard before, they would find out for you. It was nice to call somebody and hear somebody pick up the phone on the other end. That was 7.5 years ago for me. I hope it's still that way. My channel is one of the few, probably the only one, dedicated to marriage to a Filipina. That's where all the fun is, I think, getting married. I went pretty much from very inexperienced, not having a girlfriend for 30 years, to getting married. What could go wrong? Well, I tried to be prepared because I never thought it would take that long. I was preparing myself that I could potentially get married shortly. I just needed to meet somebody first. Just never got that opportunity. It was just very frustrating. And I went to the I joined Christian Filipina, and boom, there come all these chat requests, and I put in my search criteria, and lots of women in there, and new women joining all the time. It was fun. Part of me would like to do it again, just because it was so exhilarating to chat with so many different women. It was fun. And set up when can we go on camera, and then write that down, and then talk to them. And by the way, if you do that and they're on time, make note of that. That's a very good sign. My wife was like 5 minutes early the first time we were going to get together, and she was the only one that was early. Maybe one was on time. Most of them were 10 to 30 minutes late, but that's a good sign if they're on time. I think they tend to be eager. Just don't give any money, and I know you want to, and you probably can help, but just don't do it because it's too easy to get scammed. There are scammers everywhere. You have to take the responsibility for your own relationship to not get scammed. So if they ask for money, move on. If they tell you about all these family needs, I would move on. If they tell you they love you and it's early, I would at least remind them that they don't, and that they shouldn't be saying that, and that you're not going to tell them that you love them until you've met or you're engaged or something like that. I just think they say I love you to freeze the guy into thinking, oh my gosh, maybe she does. Could that be? That's what I want to hear. This is great. She loves me. Wow. She's so young and pretty. Man, she's communicating with me. Man, this is great. And I think they say that just to freeze you into thinking, I'm not going to go talk to anybody else because this Filipina loves me. Well, no, she doesn't, and she doesn't. I mean, come on. I made more than a few videos on that. Um, no, you. I think you love somebody when you get married. At least when I got married in the Philippines, that was what you were told. You're now vowing to love this person, not before marriage, because you're not really tested that much. You have no obligation to love them before you're married. Once you're married, changes everything. So my wife and I, you know, would say we're probably not in love with each other. Now she was a mature 26 back then, and I was 53 years old, and you know, I figured, well, we'll love each other when we get married. I mean, look, you don't owe until you get engaged, which is supposed to say we're going to now continue to learn about each other, but we're not going to be seeing anybody else. But even when you're engaged, they still could see somebody else, and so could you. Till you're when you're married, though, you can't see anybody else. Then you have to love them because there's nobody else. You're supposed to stay together. So I wouldn't get too bent out of shape thinking, why is Bob telling me that she doesn't love me? And I've been talking to her for 6 months, never met her yet, never met her family, never been to the Philippines. But why does Bob say she doesn't love me? Well, because she doesn't. Um, what has she had to go through with you in 3, 4, 5, 6 months or a year if you haven't met yet? And being married is a whole lot different than talking to somebody on camera. That is for sure. 24/7 for the phone lines. Thank you, Dan. J Bud says, be ready when she asks you what kind of woman you are looking for. That's good advice. It's a fair question. What kind of woman are you looking for? So just think about that, and if she asks you, be ready to tell her something that sounds like you've thought about it. Because if you come off and like stammer and, well, yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm looking for, I'll get back to you on that. That tells her something. She asks that question for a reason, probably to see if you're ready for a serious relationship and if she is the type of woman that you might be looking for. Now, I will say this: I'm all for total transparency. So, what you're looking for, state to her what you're looking for. Essentially, in my profile, which I wish I still had to see what it said, um, I wrote mostly about, I guess, what I thought marriage, what I want marriage to be like, what I thought marriage to me would be like, type of, you know, way I wanted to do it. And my wife, fiance, she liked what I said. And so we were able to get married because she felt like she knew enough about me that I was very serious and I wanted to get married. Now, I was fortunate, I guess, because there's a possibility that, if you're really eager to get married fast and you feel confident that you could, and you've asked good questions and you're ready to go, that she might be put off by that. A lot of these young, beautiful Filipinas have not had boyfriends. And so they might be there thinking, well, I'll join Christian Filipina. It's free for them, but I don't expect anybody to really contact me. And they've had guys contact them that aren't serious, never heard from them again. And then they get this guy that's really serious. Oh, I want to get married. Here's what I want to do. And here's what I'm like. And here's what I'm looking for. And I mean, they could say, well, that's a little bit too fast. I don't know. I would tell them what you're looking for. Just be straight up. It's a long ways away. There's visa fees, there's plane flights, there's spousal visas and all that. So it does cost money. So be honest about what you're looking for. But when you start talking to her, don't force the issue. Don't get too far ahead of yourself because again, they're more, as I said earlier, more laid back, and maybe Jay Bud can agree with me on this. I think they're more easygoing, laid back, probably less anxious to get married. Maybe not, they want to get married, but not expecting some guy from thousands of miles away to say, hey, when can I come see you? And that might scare them off a little bit. And don't start just because you can marry a Filipina, just because I think the odds are good. Don't start acting right away when you start talking to her like you're going to be her husband. because now you're starting to take some things for granted, and she won't like that. There has to be a natural, organic way for the relationship to grow. Whether you're like me and was saying, hey, I'm in a hurry to get married. I mean, I know what I'm looking for. I know what I want. I just have to find somebody that's willing to do that. But I never acted like I was her husband until I was her husband. And we've had our struggles like anybody else. I'm just throwing that out there for those people that are very eager to get married and think that they can, and they can, but try not to overwhelm her, because then it's easier to start acting like you are her husband, and you're not until you get married. Dan says, wow, J Bud 5000 really has great advice. He does. I think both male and female need to be ready to commit. I agree, Dan. I mean, again, this is just, I'm maybe different than some, but these women want to get married, I think. I don't think they really want to have a guy contact them and just keep chatting and, hey, when can I see you again? When can we do a video chat? And it's really nice. And then not get around to being serious, because all the while they're, not being serious, other guys might. There's someone contacting me right now. We're going to talk about Filipino relationships when we're done here tonight. So I lost my train of thought there. But yeah, ready to commit. It doesn't have to be right away. You don't have to get married and propose in 18 days like I did. I mean, all she could have done was say, hey, wait a minute, Bob. That's just way too soon. And she was surprised. And she said, well, if you come and see me, because a lot of guys don't. They'll say, oh, you're so lovely. You're so beautiful. Man, you'd make a great wife. Never hear from them again. Or I'm going to come see you. I'm going to get those tickets and see you. Where do you live again? Never hear from them again. I don't know what happens times like that, but the guy wasn't ready to commit, at least not to her. I wouldn't lead a Filipina astray. If you have any plans about being married, be honest. Don't be rude, but be honest. Be honest with your needs and your motives and your hurts and pains, and try to understand hers, because marriage is such an intimate relationship. I mean, whether it's the bedroom or anything else, you want to be free to be as open and honest as you can possibly be. You want that one person to know more about you than anyone else. So be honest. Don't rush it. But be aware that if she wants to get married, she'll marry you, probably sooner than later if you ask her. But yeah, I agree. They should be ready to commit at some point. I mean, not just doing this and saying, well, maybe in 5 years I'll go out there and get serious. Don't waste their time then, I would suggest, because a lot of them will marry you. You get a great young wife, and you got to ask her to marry you first. And that may be the scary part. But Love Beyond the Sea, I want to help guide people through that the best I can. You can tell by the topics. If you scroll through the 1,300 videos, there's a lot of topics there to pick out. And I've got several hundred more that I have to do. I have to write probably 2/3 of those. And who knows when that's going to be. I've just been busy taping videos as I think of new topics. But I've got a big inventory of topics for people that are interested in subscribing to Love Beyond the Sea and learning about relationship with a Filipina. Dan says many Filipino women are used as vacation girlfriends. Well, and that's their fault if they're going to allow themselves to do that. I wish they wouldn't do that, because to me, that's the male version of scamming the Filipina, and that's using them for their body, and that's on the woman. I can say to guys, don't be scammed. That's all on you. And some guys have been scammed multiple times and still blame the woman. Well, that's on the man for allowing her be scammed. I just did a video, probably on YouTube. I do them TikTok and I put them on YouTube a day or so later. And it was about the one reason foreigners get scammed. One main reason foreigners get scammed by Filipinos, and that's a lack of wisdom, lack of knowledge. You can have knowledge and still get scammed because you're not putting two and two together. You're not using that knowledge properly. That would be wisdom, the appropriate use of knowledge. We should get all the knowledge and information and facts that we can. But if you allow a woman to say, I love you, and then you stop thinking clearly, or I need money for this, and you think, wow, this will get my foot in the door. So you forget about everything you know, and you start giving that money. Next thing you know, it changes everything. And you don't want to do that. But women that get scammed by foreigners who just want their body, that's on them. I don't know. Dan, do you think the women think, well, if I allow myself to let this guy use me sexually, then he'll want to marry me? Because that, do you think that's what they're thinking? I don't know what they're thinking, but I doubt that ever works out very well. They shouldn't do that. I mean, my wife and I, we got married very quickly, so we weren't intimate before we got married, and that's the way I insisted. We got married very quickly because I wanted to be intimate, and we've learned how to get along. Now, my wife was 26 then; she's 34 now. Believe it or not, we've both grown up. We've both matured. We've both seen each other, a side of each other that we didn't see before we got married. That's going to happen when you're together. All of your weaknesses are going to be exposed in marriage. That doesn't mean it's going to break up. It just means you have to learn to apologize, and you have to learn to do things better and be patient. Marriage is a marathon, not a sprint. I sprinted to the altar, but the marriage itself is a marathon. My wife is going to school. She'll graduate end of December if she can, pass, get a C average. Her work is paying for it, if she passes, which is good. And she wants a degree in biotechnology. She was studying molecular biology at the end of last year. Just horrific paperwork with all kinds of figures and calculations. And now she's doing like metric system and all kinds of conversions and stuff. It's just incredible. But it takes up 5 hours a day or more. And that's tough on me as her husband, But she did say she likes to learn things and she might want to go to school. Most people don't go to college when they're working 6 days a week. She's doing very well at work too. I'm very proud of her. They don't want to lose her. I try to encourage her to use her skills and abilities. She needs confidence boost once in a while, and she's just a quality individual. She's what workers are looking for here. She's a leader. I saw that the first time I met her back in 2015. She's a leader. People follow her. She does things the right way. She works very hard, and she can be very no nonsense too, in addition to being very friendly. So she's got what it takes. And so the more she can earn, the higher up she can go. She can save more money, and that helps us out too. And I wasn't expecting that. But she said she wanted to go to school. Well, I asked her, can you find out how much time this school is going to involve? Because, I'd like to see you more. And well, it's been taking a lot longer, but she hadn't been in school for 10 years. And last year was tough. She had some schooling, some things she had to take to catch up before starting the 2 years. And last year was the first full year, and it was tough. This year, I'm determined to give her more space and time to do what she has to do because I want her to pass. I want this to be over with, but I also don't want to make her upset because I got to be mature and say, look, it's not helping her if I'm going to be saying, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. We've talked about her getting up earlier to do the studying instead of late at night, because that drives me crazy. I like to go to bed earlier. But we'll get through this. I'm going to make sure that I stay out of the way and don't cause any trouble. And that's part of being committed to somebody. And there'll be times when you have to tough it out for a while, but it's a long range thing. As fast as the years go, big deal. 1 year anymore to me is going to be over, like a week. It's going to be nothing. That's sadly the way it is when you get older. For her, the time may go a little slower, but when it's over, she'll have graduated, and I'll be very happy for her for that. And she'll be very glad that I gave her the time to labor through all the study and be able to get that degree. And hopefully it's something that she can utilize. I know just going through all the writing and the learning of new things is going to make her a better worker, a better person. It tests her brain, keeps her sharp, and she is a sharp woman. Dance is growing together is what it's all about. Yes, the faster you guys get married, the faster and you can be together and have a longer relationship. I hope we have another 10 or 15 years. Depends how long I'm going to live, I guess. But man, we've been married 7 years and 8 months. I cannot believe that. It seems like we've been married for 7 weeks, honestly. I don't know where the time went. The days tick by like seconds, and they're going by fast for you. Like I've made a video, I called it, Is Time on Your Side? And I think basically the answer is no, unless you're younger. One of those, I've talked to a guy as young as 19, some in their 20s, some in their 30s. They have a little more time, but if they get married, and they can over there, then they can have many more years together than I'm going to have. That's one regret I have. I suppose maybe it shouldn't be because I can't do much about it. I wish we'd known each other earlier in life. My wife wishes we had, known each other earlier when I was younger. We'd have more time together, but we don't. So I have to make the best of each day that we can grow old together. Part of that is going to be helping her accomplish the things that are important to her. And that's very important. I've helped her mostly. Our building projects we've had, she has spent just a lot of money on her own that she has earned to build 3 houses. The third one will be finished hopefully next week. And all for her family. Yes, one of them is ours. We'll stay there when we go. But everything in the Philippines belongs to the Filipina. That's fine with me because I trust her and I want her to trust me, and I want her to not want to take advantage of me, and I want to be good to her so that she doesn't do that. I'm all into this little woman from the Philippines. So far, so good. 7 years and 8 months. I've been having people tell me from the 3rd year, oh, she's going to leave you. She's going to get that green card and she's gone. She's going to get that citizenship, which she has, and then she's going to be gone. Well, she's not gone. A lot of those things they're just false statements, or the guy did something to chase her off. I'm not saying Filipinos are all angels, but my channel is for guys, not for women. I think women should be the ones giving advice to women, and guys shouldn't be advising women. So I can relate to men. So that's just want to help with where I've been and where I'm going. And you're right, Dan. I wish you well. Growing together is a wonderful thing. Having somebody to come home to or go to bed with, even if they're busy and they're working and they're right now going to school, that's just a tough thing. I need to be as supportive as I can. Run some errands for her, make sure I cook some rice for her, or I cook breakfast for her, whatever I can do, especially running errands, to help her out so she can, keep studying. And Now I guess I've matured enough that I don't have to feel like she's with me 24 hours a day. As long as we're there together, we'll talk about stuff before we fall asleep, and that's the way it's going to be for this year. We'll take a vacation, hopefully, sometime in the middle of the year when she gets some time off of work and has a semester break, if that falls in that same period of time. Maybe we go to the Philippines later in December, maybe we don't. She'll go for sure, I think. It's just a question of whether or not I want to go. And I do. But the getting there and the getting back and the recovering from what's about a day and a half of travel is not easy. And my back really bothered me on some of the bumpy roads we were on, especially right outside the house. All of that is on, the Just Us playlist. You can see the house that we built and the second house, that 3-unit, 6-bedroom house that she built on there in the Just Us playlist. If you want, that's why I like YouTube. You can go to those playlists and find stuff easier. So I'm doing this for people out there like yourself. Um, when I started this, um, I think that dollar sign there, if I find my cursor, I assume that's Super Chat. I am on AdSense and I am eligible. I just noticed that there now, but never gotten Super Chat money. I'm curious if that works. But that is one thing people can do, even on, I think, shorts now, those videos that are shorter. Um, People can, pay money there, even hear Super Chat. So I do this pretty much most of the day between YouTube and TikTok and answering private messages and people I know have known for a few years, or and new people too I've never met. Um, Try to help them understand what Philippines is like and marrying a Filipina is like, and um, sometimes it gets to be pretty hectic. Other days not so much, but this is I don't do it for fun. I've said that before, because a lot of time it's not fun. A lot of time it's discouraging. Um, but I want to help get the word out there to people. I found a wife in the Philippines. You can too. Don't go MGTOW. Um, go the way you want to go, which is marriage, and go where you're wanted, which could be the Philippines. It could be some other country where men are amenable or women are amenable to marrying foreigners. So, any more questions? It's Wednesday night. It's 8:40 here in Nebraska. And I do appreciate the people here tonight for this hour and 38 minutes. Hopefully more will watch the replay. That will be out there on the live tab. They now break YouTube down into like regular videos and shorts and lives. So there's 3 different places I guess you have to check if you want to see somebody's videos. So I appreciate the comments, and I appreciate Dan and Jay Bud for being here. Also Brandon, Go Bobo sister, who loves Tampo. He's the only person in the world that loves Tampo. And of course, I have a couple videos on Tampo. That's the silent treatment. I don't get that. My wife kind of was like that early on, but she was smart enough to tell me what she was doing. She'd say, look, just, I don't want to talk about this. Don't talk to me anymore. Give me some time. I'll be fine. But that was her way of saying I did something to make her feel bad, upset her, whether it was something I said or the way I said it or something I did. And then we make up. Now it just doesn't last that long because I don't like getting upset with her. I don't like her being upset with me. And so I try to do a better job of, avoiding that. So the situations that come up that are frustrating are still going to come up, but we have the choice to try to handle them better the next time. And we're going to screw up. We all do. husbands are not perfect, but they need to be reliable, stable husbands that the woman can trust in. And the things that I talk about here regarding Filipinas would work with anybody. I mean, the cultural differences, you know, are different between different countries. And I know guys, from that marry women from other countries, and that's fine too. They're still dealing with different culture, and they'll get used to it. Don't be afraid of marrying a Filipina. Don't be afraid of talking to her, but know what you're looking for, like Jay Bud said, when she asks you. And use those questions that I highlighted there on lvbts.com. Up in the resource tab is where you will find them. You can also order my book over there. Uh, use my affiliate link to Christian Filipina. All of those are up there at the top under it says top chat over here. So I am going to see how much snow we have outside and get back to some people who I know want to talk about relationship with the Filipina. So until the next live stream, I will see you later. Until then, I wish you success trying to find love beyond the sea.